the big deer, it's all about a track. And you got to cut it somewhere.
Yeah.
And you're not going to cut it if you're not out there.
You can only hunt big deer where big deer live.
Yeah.
You can't just make it up and say, well, there's a big deer on that hill. Well, maybe not, but till you find that track, put it together, what he's doing, yeah.
And then figure out the circuit.
The circuit.
Because
they do orbits. You know, all these deer do orbits, and they meet up and they're going to fight. But they do a circuit for sure. And for as rolling hills, there's no magic to it. You just got to be out there and find them.
Yeah, it's a lot of legwork, you know.
The thing about hunting rolling hill pine country is there's food everywhere, there's cover everywhere, and there's not usually a ton of like hard landscape features that kind of force the deer to move in a certain area. So it can be harder to narrow them down. So I'm just curious on y'all's thoughts on that. How do you go about narrowing down deer in rolling hill pine country?
Start with tracks.
That's what
Tracks.
I
mean,
what we do.
If there's
we go
not
find the tracks.
Yeah,
we find the deer.
Yeah,
and you got to do it on them like after a rain. Find out where they're at. Like you said, there's more food than they eat. Go ahead.
And they do their, they're going to do their little circuit too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the knowledge. I mean, literally, man, we have spent so much time. We're in the woods, and I mean, we're in the woods all through deer season. Then we're shed hunting. Then we're turkey hunting. Then on into the summer, we're out we used to cut trails through the pines into the places we want to get to.
Those thick places.
It is literally, there is, I mean, it's just time in the woods. This is before Onex. This is before Hunt Stand. We just know, we learn the land. We're, we're woodsmen too. That's the first thing you got to do is be a woodsman if you want to be successful.
The first thing you just said, I mean, we took a topo map because we didn't have Onex. We'd stand on the hill going, I think we're right here. We need to go look at this. So we'd do process of elimination.
Yep.
1,000 acres there. We walk it. Maybe found shed. Sometimes we'd like, we're not going to hunt there. We'd go over here and, oh, this is pretty good. We found some rubs and, nice rubs.
There's something about those dark pines too that they just kind of, there's not a lot of greenbrier. There's not a lot of honeysuckle. It's just those dark. Just the dark pines.
Those deer can stand in there and see you, and you can't see them, and you come toward them, and slip out the back door and gone.
Are you talking about the pines that are?
They'll hit a period. Probably
they're
I don't
still
know how to
thick,
age them,
but it's not
probably
green.
about 10 years old.
Yeah,
it's thick, but there's nothing in there. Every once in a while there'll be some mushrooms or something pop up, but it just seems like those dark pines. Now I found a lot of sheds. If you want to find sheds, you need to be in pines.
Yeah.
Because the squirrels aren't in there heavy like hardwoods and stuff. And that's, we'd spend a lot of time doing that. But yeah, man, it's time in the woods. We learn, and there's still a few places where I can go. Like Shane got me out in some areas, and I'm just thinking, whoo, boy, you're on them. You're on them. And all I do was reinforce what he's doing already, and that gives him his confidence. You stay confident in what you're doing, because literally hunting and fishing and everything, confidence. If you've got it, it's going to keep your butt in the seat. It's going to keep you in the woods. But as far as finding the big deer, it's all about a track, and you got to cut it somewhere.
Yeah.
And you're not going to cut it if you're not out there.
You can only hunt big deer where big deer live.
Yeah.
You can't just make it up and say, well, there's a big deer on that hill. Well, maybe not, but till you find that track, put it together, what he's doing, yeah.
And then figure out the circuit.
The circuit.
Because
they do orbits.
Yeah.
All these deer do orbits, and they meet up and they're going to fight. Like here at my house, they fight all the time. I find sheds or broken antlers out here. But they do a circuit for sure. And for as rolling hills, there's no magic to it. You just got to be out there and find them.
Yeah, it's a lot of legwork, That's what we did. That was our thing.
Me and him were scouting one day. I got to bring this up. Had our bows, our tree stand on our back, bows in our hand. We're walking down this ridge, and big old hill, well, probably 300 feet up. walking down this ridge, hardwood, trying to
Yeah, we
find the
set our
place to
tree
hunt.
stand. We set our we're carrying our stands as we go. We get in about half a mile. Set our stands down so we could go on and look a little further without carrying our stands. Yeah.
And then we got on down toward the end of the ridge and it started dropping off a big hill and it was like, let's take a break for a minute. So I sat down. Scott's going, I think he's taking your bag off or something, put his bow down, turn around, going to sit down right beside me. And all I could do was go, had this look on my face because there was a rattlesnake right beside me. He was fixing to sit on it. And it was a giant. It was almost 12 inches.
It was the one that would bite you and dump all of his venom. Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Yeah, and you don't want to sit down on a rattlesnake.
that's one of the reasons I don't like turkey hunting anymore. I killed too
There
many
used to be a lot.
rattlesnakes.
There used to be a lot more snakes out there now, though. Boy, the cottonmouths used to be real bad out there.
Cottonmouths are not always by water.
No.
Everybody thinks that, no, they're always by water. No, they're in the hills too.
Yeah, for sure. But
So-
yeah, man, just leg work. Leg work is
Yeah, I showed you my boots. I got holes in them.
That's a good point.
That's about a year-old boot.
Yeah, you showed us your boots, and literally there's holes in the bottom of them from 1 year. That's how much leg work. And I like that because, like you said, woodsmanship, like, there's no substitute for it no matter what podcast you listen to, what videos you watch, what books you read.
It's literally.
You got to go do it.
Yeah.
No way around it.
Yep.
To be successful.
It's like the feed trees.
Yep.
You gotta go look at all.
This
of
is the feed tree man.
and like this year, I thought it was going to be good, and it kind of, it was kind of fell on its face. There was a couple of pretty good spots I found. The only bachelor group I found were eating red oaks, and they petered out at the end of September, and it was just disappointing. And then I found opening day, where I was at opening day. There was buck sign everywhere. It was a classic. But they just didn't show. They must have been coming there at night, and that's just one of those things, sometimes you hit it right on the head, and sometimes you miss it, But you got to keep going.
But you can't be locked down to one spot. I mean,
No.
like the food there was there, the bucks were there. Unfortunately, they eat them all up and they went on somewhere else.
Yeah.
And some people will sit there and that's all they do. Just stay in one area. We kind of don't do that.
Rarely sit.
We go wherever the deer are.
Yeah, your rut spots, you can.
Rut spots,
you can.
Yeah.
Make them kind of same old.
Lot of-
But no, early season and all through the season, I don't want to be in the same spot. No.
A lot of people said, and I get it, hunt the does. And that's true. Only certain time. Unless you're going to kill a doe. If you want to kill a buck, you're not so much hunting doe because they're not really interested in does until later. And that's when I've always heard and seen, this is what I feel anyway, is mature deer, solitary. You get to an area that's got a bunch of tracks and it's not the right time, you're going to see deer. You're going to see the wrong ones. But if you look for that big one, you find that one place that don't have any tracks, you got that one buck track, that's where he's at. That's my view.
That's the truth, though.
So you guys like to wait for a rain, give it a couple hours, go out there, find your tracks. What are you looking for in a track? Like size?
Oh,
you
yeah.
look at stride?
Some size of your hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, big.
200-pounder. Yeah.
200-pound deer.
So about as wide as your hand. Central Alabama, pine country, that's how big the track is.
Yeah. I mean,
And these deer up here got big horns now, but they don't have as big tracks. But back in the day, we
yeah,
caught 'em.
they used to weigh 225. He killed one weighed 238. Back, about that same time we were talking about it. These other, he weighed 238 at the check-in, and then we put on another scale, it weighed 250. But now they weigh, mature deer weigh 180, 190.
Yeah.
What changed?
They cut all the hardwoods and
Introduction of
other deer. Yeah, they brought in deer
from
from
lower
other
counties
counties, and
to populate this area. So
yeah.
So what was so you guys hunted, again, we're talking about some public land in Central Alabama. All the internet people will probably be able to find it, but we're not going to name it. But back, a lot of WMAs, or I mean, just a lot of land in the Southeast is like this, where a lot of it used to be upland hardwoods, white oaks, red oaks, hickories, and it got clear cut, and now it's primarily loblolly pines, pine plantations.
Yeah.
And you guys hunted through that transition, so it went from upland hardwoods to pines. How did you guys adjust with that?
I
just kept hunting.
being, I'm the feed tree guy anyway. So, that's when I go, that's when I start. It's like I had X number of really productive spots, in the day.
Yeah, you did.
And then once most of that gets cut away, it's kind of like, what we talked about before in like the feed tree episode. It kind of makes it a little bit easier if that's what you're doing. But then, as the season progresses with the and then rolling into the rut, and I put my crappie rod down, then it's a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would call it. You make the best of what you're given. We never said, "Hey, we're gonna go to another management area now, or we're gonna go do this, we're gonna do that." No, it's kind of like you take what you're given.
I've never been the feed tree guy, which, Scott, we'd rely on him to find it because he'd find it. He'd walk it and find where they're feeding, find where the deer poop is, and, that's great.